Hey guys, it's me, Cyrus. How you doing? Welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about the PlayStation Classic. Yeah, this is not necessarily a video about the TurboGrafx 16. It's about this thing, this little console. I've had this since it came out. I was one of the suckers who paid $100 for this thing when it came out, and it didn't quite live up to expectations, and I kind of just put it in the closet and forgot about it. I broke it out here and there once in a while, but for the most part, I haven't really messed with it too much. And that's because I really just couldn't get it to do what I wanted it to do. But recently, I saw that they had done some improvements to how the hacking is done, and the RetroArch has improved quite a bit on it. There's been some improvements for how it works and things like that. So I figured I'd break it out and try it again. Plus, my buddy Luke, Dorkside, he was messing with it and inspired me to do something as well. So I have, and let me tell you about what I've done. So my PlayStation Classic has been modified, and I am using, on the first port, instead of using the standard controller that comes with it, I'm actually using this Sega Genesis 8-bit DO controller, 8-bit DO, however you say it, just hooked up with a USB cable to it. The reason I'm using this cable is the dongle attachment that I have for this, for the Genesis, it has some issues. It's not working the best. So I just use a regular Genesis pad for my Genesis. So I wasn't using this for anything. And I really do like this controller. But it's not the Bluetooth one, it's the other one. So it needs that dongle unless you hook it up with a cable like this. So the benefits of using this controller is it has all those buttons, plus it has a dedicated home button key, and it has turbo. So I can set up turbo, which is kind of important for TurboGrafx. If you don't have turbo for TurboGrafx games, you're doing yourself a disservice. But anyway, so I have it set up for that. That's why I'm using this controller. And I'm not using this thing for anything past the 16-bit consoles. I'm actually not even using this for PlayStation stuff. I'm using this for PlayStation stuff. I have my fat, full PS3, if I can get it to focus. Anyway, it's a little dirty, but there it is right there. Got my Japanese Saturn over here. So there are consoles that this thing's just not going to be able to do very well. I did try Atari Jaguar emulation, which, yeah, that emulation's just not good, and this thing's not powerful enough to do it. And I wouldn't want to emulate that console anyway. So when I do game captures or streams for the Jaguar, I will have to break that sucker out, which, fine, no big deal. The Saturn, I'm just going to use my Saturn for that. Nintendo 64, using Nintendo, I'm just using the real consoles for that stuff. But for everything 16-bit and backwards, that's the Genesis, the Super Nintendo, the TurboGrafx, the Sega Master System, the Intellivision, all of the Ataris that I have, except for the Jaguar. And how many times will I say it in one video? So yeah, the 5200, 7800, 2600, and the Atari 8-bit computer, this thing can do all of that, although that was a tricky situation trying to figure all that out. And I will say, trying to get this thing to do what I want it to do has not been simple. It would have been a hell of a lot easier if I was content with just plugging in a flash drive into this drive here and calling it a day, and just using the flash drive that I had that would work with it. But unfortunately, the biggest one that I could get to work with it straight out like that is a 16 gig that I have. So I wanted to use 128 gig that I have, but it wouldn't work. I finally figured out how to get it to work, and it involved using a powered USB hub. So that's why I have this over here plugged into it with my little bitty thumb drive in there. And it works. So I can actually boot and load all my stuff off of that through the second port. So yeah, I can do, since I have 128 gig to play with, I've got a whole bunch of TurboGrafx CD stuff and Sega CD stuff, Neo Geo, all kinds of extra stuff on this thing. And like I said, that was not easy to set up. I've had some difficulties and some hurdles to get over trying to figure all this out and figure out how to get it to work properly. But I think I've pretty much got it working good for, you know, all the basic stuff. Like I said, Game Boy Advance, Game Gear, you know, everything's 16-bit and backwards. It's doing pretty good, and that's what I want it for. So yeah, if you're interested in doing this sort of thing, it is possible. It's a little complicated to set up. If you, I know Luke's doing this thing a little bit different way than what I'm doing it. He's got a wireless dongle, and he's using it for PlayStation stuff, and so his experience is different than what I'm going for with mine. But it's a pretty capable little box as long as you're not trying to do anything past the PlayStation. It could probably do Saturn stuff, but I haven't played with it because I have that. But yeah, I'll be doing some videos. I mean, pretty much what I'm gonna do, just to say it, is like all the footage that I'm gonna capture or stream from these older consoles, I'm pretty much gonna stick with this thing unless I have issues. Because I keep moving my consoles back and forth from my bedroom into here, back and forth. I don't want to keep doing that. It's not good for the consoles, and it's sort of, I mean, I can't get as pristine of footage as I can when I capture with this thing, obviously. Any like emulation box, Android TV box, NVIDIA Shield or whatever, you're going to be able to get really nice video out of it and do stuff like that. And the old consoles, I have a few of them that, you know, can do RGB, but if they can't, then it looks a little bit rough. And I would really rather play those on my CRT and not put extra mileage on my consoles, unless it's something special, unless there's a reason that I want to do that for a video. You know, that's, you know, whatever. But anyway, I just thought I would talk about it for a minute, just to explain a little bit of what I had to go through. Setting up the Atari 5200 was really complicated. I didn't know it was going to be as complicated as it was, because the 5200 is basically an Atari 8-bit computer. So the same emulator that runs Atari computer stuff runs a 5200 stuff, and you have to set it up separately. And the TurboGrafx stuff, you have to put the BIOS in the right place. Same thing with the Sega CD. There's some complexity to setting all this up. The biggest thing was trying to figure out how to get this 128 gig flash drive to work, which I have done now. I will say, if you're having issues with the flash drive not working, then try exFAT as the format to format the drive to, because it doesn't work with FAT32. You have to use FAT32 just to do the hack, but then if you want to run stuff off that drive, it doesn't work with FAT32. And everybody tells you to reformat it to NTFS or whatever that is, and I couldn't get that to work. But exFAT worked, but I couldn't just plug the drive in, because the thumb drive I'm using wants to use too much power. So I was forced to use this powered USB hub, and it has to have its own power source, otherwise this won't work. So like I said, it is a little complicated to get this going. So if you have any questions, or if you have a different setup and you want to talk about it, or give me suggestions on anything or whatever, let me know. Hit me up. I appreciate it. So more footage coming soon from this thing and from other consoles. And hopefully you enjoyed some of this video. But in the meantime, I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.